I did it because I wanted it for myself. And I loved how my body felt. And I loved seeing like women who are like twice my age or more, three times my age, doing things that I'm like, I want to do that when I'm 60, when I'm 70.
Hi, Lencola. I am super excited to have you on Staying Ageless. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you for having me, Asosa. It was really fantastic to be here. Like after I saw your email, it was like, oh, great. This is exciting. I mean, I love doing different interviews and like meeting different people and, following your journey since I met you. Gosh, I don't know how long I've been following you on Instagram, but I love your work.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, I've been like low key stalking you on Instagram because behind me is my Pilates reformer. I am a Pilates head to some degree. I feel like I want to get deeper into it because I'm interested in building muscle, all that stuff. But I'm just like, this woman is fabulous. I mean, you're doing all these exercises. I just look at your Instagram, I'm like, oh my God. Like she's doing all these amazing exercises. You're a fabulous Black woman. I'm just like, I love the whole thing. I just love it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and all the hard ones are the ones that always just look the best on film, though. So it's like,
Right.
but it's like on the like flip side, it's like when I'm doing my like own workout, like, or if I take a class from somebody, I always go to like the beginner class, like the level 1 class.
That's
Like when I
funny.
just first, it helps me, it helps me get deeper into like my body, my work, and it becomes more of like a meditation, like going to the beginning, like
Right.
Pilates and there's also that misnomer of beginning Pilates, though. Like you hear people
Right.
hear beginner, it means that I'm going to be with people that don't know how to work out. And that's not at all what beginning means in Pilates. It just means these are the beginning concepts and the foundation behind all of the Pilates exercises. So it really does become like a moving meditation, like as an advanced person going back into that beginning stage of the foundations for real.
So you've been doing this for like over 17 years, is that correct?
Pilates, my like personally doing it, yeah. So about almost 18 years now. Yeah, teaching
Wow.
18 years. So of course my certification or my process started before then. So yes.
Wow. So can you give us an idea of like what led you to Pilates? How did you start practicing it yourself? And then what led you to become an instructor?
Well, me and my girlfriend used to have a weekly workout together. So she brought over like a Maury Windsor tape. I think it was I don't know if it was a DVD or a VHS, but and so she puts it on. She's like, oh, Sarah Jessica Parker, Sex and the City was really like hot at that time. And she's like, Sarah Jessica Parker really does this. And like, she has great body and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, let's give it a try. And I honestly hated it. Like I thought the DVD floor mat was just the worst because I'm like, I don't get real instruction. There's nobody here telling me what to do. And like, if I'm doing it right or not. Right. And it's like, I only
Yeah.
get a couple tries. So from there, I was like, I'm just going to take a class at a studio. I'm going to find a studio. And that was my first introduction. I had no idea Pilates existed. I mean, even coming from like a gymnastics and background, but after I got into it and did the workout, like it only took one and I was hooked because I was like, this is very
Wow.
similar to gymnastics, right? It has a lot of the calisthenics portion of it. So, and the stretching portion within it. So I was like in love at that point, and it only took one. And I literally that day after class, I asked him, I was like, so how and when and where do I sign up for the teacher training?
Oh,
And
wow.
because I did like, you got to pump your brakes, you can't just sign up right away. You've only taken one class.
Right, right. Wow.
Like, take my money. And then they're like, you have to sign up for 30 hours. So you have to have at least 30 hours of Pilates under your belt before you can even consider being a part of our teacher training. And I was like, great. Okay, good on you guys. So I did the 30-hour immersion. And I was still hooked, and like from there, I just totally went into the teacher training. And I honestly didn't get into it to become a teacher. I
Hmm.
did it because I wanted it for myself. And I loved how my body felt. And I loved seeing like women who are like twice my age or more, three times my age, doing things that I'm like, I want to do that when I'm 60, when I'm 70. I want to be
Yeah.
that person.
Yes, that's why I'd be looking at your Instagram like, oh, I gotta get it together because I need to be able to do that. That's awesome.
But
That is
you got that
awesome.
reformer behind you.
Yes, yes. I love it so much. It really helped me a lot. It helped me rehab from a car accident. That's when I first learned about Pilates because I was only doing yoga. And the Pilates, I wasn't allowed to do yoga after my car accident. They were just like, sorry, you're not allowed. But they said I could do Pilates, and it completely healed my entire core and like the trauma from the car accident. So
Nice. Yeah, that's how I feel. Pilates has rehabbed me so many times throughout my life, or at least the times that I've had Pilates in my life. And like from either having my child and like totally having to bring the core back after that, or just moments like you've been sick or injured or something, and it just keeps you there. And there's always something you can do, usually like within the repertoire. So it's very versatile and meeting you where you are for sure.
that's great. You were alluding to the foundational concepts of Pilates. Can you kind of break that down for us?
Well, yes, definitely. So, foundation wise for Pilates, I mean, we have principles that we move through, right? So, we're thinking about there's breath, right? It's that requisite to life. You can't live more than 3 minutes without it, right? So,
Yeah.
that is definitely a foundation with it. And every exercise has an assigned breath, and or we can work the breath into it, moving with that, just like yoga. So it does have that similar aspect of
Mm-hmm.
moving with your breath. And then it goes into our concentration, control, and precision. You get some balance in there as well as strength, right, and mobility. So we're trying to find that in every single exercise so that you can move your body in like every way it moves, and
Mm-hmm.
do that within every single session of the work. And the more you dive into those principles within each movement and connecting with your body and how you move through space, like the deeper everything goes, and the more you can do the exercises, the better you get at performing the exercises. And it totally just translates into life, right? Being able to really be within yourself so that you can give outside of yourself.
Love that. Love that
Mhm.
a lot. You just mentioned going for a run. I'm not trying to be all up in your business, but I kind of want to be all up in your business, child. Because I'm like, whatever she's doing, please sign me up. Do you see Pilates as something that can be done every single day? Is it just a complementary exercise where we should be mixing it in with other forms of cardio and strength training? Like, how do you envision it, or how do you see it?
Um, all of the above. You can do it every single day, whether just like any other fitness, whether you're doing it for 5 minutes to, how many ever hours you feel like working out that day, of course. But yeah, you can do Pilates every day. But I do find that you need more, right? Pilates isn't cardio. So like, it's not going to get you that impact of running. We do have some jumping in Pilates that you can do on the reformer, but
Mhm.
not everybody has a reformer
Mhm.
to
I
be
have
able
a
to
jump
do that.
board, so I do have the jump board
Mhm.
thing if I wanna do that.
Right. And the overhead for getting a reformer is pretty high. So your average person's not going to have that. So having the cardio, getting the impact through your bones, is going to always be good. Getting some resistance as well, like weightlifting and actually lifting actual weights is good, as well as doing the resistance with the springs and stuff that the reformer and other pieces of Pilates equipment like give you are good. But
Mhm.
I feel like it's a great compliment too. Like if you're an athlete, like it complements that. It's going to make you better at what you do because it's only going
Mm.
to build more awareness, more mobility, more strength. Like say for runners, for instance, like if you want a longer stride, you're going to have to work on getting a little more flexibility in the back side and the front side of your leg, right? So
Mhm.
Pilates definitely brings that into being able to create that, like, you're doing like the standing splits and stuff like that on the reformer.
Mhm.
It's going to help, it helps do that exact same thing for the front and back side of the body. So it definitely does a really good complement in helping you be better. Or like there's a lot of rotational work like in
Mhm.
the repertoire, so that is great, for people who are golf or tennis players, and it goes into like all the shoulder work is great for both of those as well. So it has a lot of benefits that complement all kinds of sports.
Yes,
Might
love
be.
that.
Mhm.
Although my standing split is more like standing. But you know. Anyway, what there's so many types of equipment, and I've actually tried a lot of them. I don't know the names all the time. I feel like I've done the Cadillac thing before. I've done the chair. I was obsessed with reformer once I tried it. So this is why I have a reformer. The pandemic came and I was like, you will not, I rebuke you, pandemic. And I just bought a reformer because I couldn't take it. And so, and I've also done mat Pilates. I was actually introduced to mat Pilates when I was in college, and that actually like sculpted my abs really crazy. And I was like, what is going on here? This is weird. But mat Pilates to me is very difficult. And I feel like now that I've been doing the reformer for a while, it's actually easier for me to do mat things that I couldn't do. So I'm interested in what your favorite pieces of equipment are, and like where is a good place for someone to start? I mean, I know there's also budgetary concerns, so we got to keep
Oh,
those in mind.
definitely. Right. Yes. Pilates is historically not cheap.
Unfortunately, I think it should be
Well,
way more
unfortunately.
accessible. Yeah.
You would think, with the barrier to entry, I mean, because it does cost a lot of money for teachers to get into it, and it takes a lot of time and education to become a Pilates instructor. So that, in turn, makes it the price higher and the equipment costs. So there's can be a good amount of overhead, but my favorite piece of equipment, it's really hard to pick because they all have different things that they offer and different ways that they challenge your body. So that for me is hard to
Top
pick
three?
just one. Top three, I would say chair,
Yeah.
reformer,
Yeah.
and I do like the Cadillac is fantastic, but if I wasn't able to have a Cadillac, I go for a springboard. That's
Oh,
just like the wall unit side of it. You can do the springboard or the tower. You can purchase those separately because you can do a lot of standing work, a lot of arm work, and stuff as well with the resistance. So I
hmm.
do enjoy that. But
Okay.
it's they all really fit together. I mean, Pilates is a system. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, you can just do reformer. You totally
Mm-hmm.
can.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not reformer is not going to challenge you the same way that the chair is going to challenge you. Like the chair is kind of a butt kicker, right? And it's
Yeah,
really
I
tiny
had that thing
piece.
today where I was like, I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that's my next purchase. Like, I feel like I'm gonna have to try
Mm-hmm.
to figure out how to get a chair.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of equipment is going up right now. Everybody who did the same thing you did during the pandemic, they're all selling their reformers and all of their equipment now. So you might get a good deal.
Okay, I'm gonna look. I'm gonna look. That's
Yeah,
good to know.
there's a lot of forums on Facebook too that have equipment for
Okay.
sale. So I would
Okay,
definitely
I'm
check
gonna
that
check
out.
that out. I'm gonna check that out. You have had a child, and I have a lot of clients who I've either helped through their pregnancy or they're about to get pregnant, they want to get pregnant, and people are horrified of the things that happen to their core post pregnancy. So, how can we use Pilates to actually get back to one as women after having a baby?
Well, the first thing I always recommend to my clients is to see a pelvic health physical therapist is always good, just to
Mm,
rule out anything that can potentially be going wrong. And we talk about. I always check with the diastases and check the middle and make sure if their abdomen, their core is intact because whenever you're going through things, you're going to have to work on that deep layer, that transverse, and getting them back to a place of stability is really like the first thing. So taking it slow for moms is like the biggest thing I can say. I know like they want to bounce back faster, as they
mhm.
say, but it's really they're starting at the same place as their child. Their child is learning how to roll over and do all of those things. Their core doesn't work at all. So they're really kind of on the same track as the kid. So you think
Mm,
children don't start walking until they're probably 9 months at the earliest is
right,
when they can start walking. And
right,
it's not that great, right? They're still
right.
wobbling and they're still unstable. So moms just like thinking that you're going to take them out that same amount of time, right? Or longer to get completely back to function. It's like even if it's slimmed down, doesn't
Mhm.
mean that it's functional. Right. It doesn't mean that there might not be having a sneeze and having a little leakage. That doesn't mean that that's not going to happen.
So
So
true.
just taking it slow is really the biggest thing. But Pilates is great. It's just a matter of not pushing into the ego side of it and trying to bump up into the higher exercises, the more advanced exercises too fast. And just paying attention to how much load is on your core. Like if it's blowing out and like you're not able to hold stability in the spine, then that means it's too much, right? You got to slow it down and bring back that focus, those foundations, and reconnecting with your body.
Before someone wants to conceive, are there exercises that are really good to like kind of almost like preemptively make a better pregnancy situation? I know the problem is with pregnancy, you can't control anything, but
right. And everybody's different. Everybody's body is different.
everybody's body is different.
Right.
But if you had any general, like, before that, if you could think of anything before that would have been
before
helpful.
Conception.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I went into it already as a Pilates instructor, so I say definitely do as much as you can to get your core as strong as you can before conception. Because once you conceive, you're not going to be able to do the same kind of core work. You're not going to be able to, like, there's going to be a certain point where there's no crunches, no sit-ups. You're not going to be doing like really strong planks and like all these other exercises. So doing all of that pre-work before, like getting the core, because like once you and strengthen that transverse is what's going to be really worked on as the baby grows and gets bigger, to be able to hold the baby in and hug the baby in and use those muscles, because you're not going to be able to do crunches. You might be able to do a little bit of rotation during that time, but definitely getting as strong as you can before, like learning about your pelvic floor, connecting with that, so that the biggest thing when it comes to actually delivering the baby is being able to relax that pelvic floor and being able to use that transverse to like hug the baby in and push the baby out. So you got to have all of those happening at the same time for to have that easy exit, as easy as it is, right? But right. Yeah. So like doing as much before, like getting that transverse strong before, and getting that awareness, I would say, is the best thing to do. Okay. And then the recovery is faster, right? Because the muscle is at its strongest point. And then as it gets stretched out over the 9 months of having the baby grow, then it's not going to be at that completely atrophied state, right? So if you're working out before, during, and after, the recovery is going to be a lot faster.
That is really good advice. Is it okay to do Pilates during pregnancy? Do you have to modify things basically?
And if you've been doing it before, yeah, it's totally fine to do it after. Just like with any form of fitness, like, I'm not going to go into being an Olympic lifter, like if I've never done it, right, during my pregnancy. So definitely, if you have experience, you've been doing it, it's totally great to do during pregnancy. And it's going to keep your body moving. It's going to keep you stretched out, because as everything in the front gets bigger, all this starts to curl in. So it keeps that posterior chain of the body stronger. It keeps the arm stronger for when you got to pick up that little boulder after it's born. So yeah, it's definitely a great thing to do. And it's going to keep your core functioning, because a lot of times women just let it go, the stomach go, and that's when sometimes the diastasis can happen, like when the load is too much. So keeping the transverse going and working during pregnancy, Pilates definitely can do that. If with an experienced instructor, of course, that knows how to handle the prenatal.
That makes sense. You had some really awesome testimonials on your site from clients who work with you, and they had improvements, and it sounded like they were working on specific things. Like, what goes into creating a very specific rehabilitation plan for someone, depending on their accidents or whatever? Are you just looking at, how do I support this muscle group? Or is it like, how do I support their overall body? I don't know how that works.
For me, like I definitely am not going to work in the rehab side, more the post rehab. So if they've gone to their physical
Yeah.
therapist, they're cleared to work out, then yes, I will take some clients on. But for their specific goals, I have to, look at them as a total just to see what's going on, because usually what the problem or what they are perceiving as a problem is not actually what's causing the
Mm,
problem. Right. So
mm,
like, so I got back pain. Well, it's probably because your core is weak in the front. So that direct relation to the opposite side of the body, having what's that called, lower cross, upper cross syndrome is
mm-hmm,
what they call it. So there's
mm-hmm,
that typically can be what's going on. So you're just taking a look as the totalitarian look of the body and from front, back, side, and seeing how they move, as how they stand still, how they move, how they lie on their sides, on their backs, on their stomachs, just to see where their body ends up during all of these exercises. So that first session is always that assessment stage of seeing what's going on with them and then moving into creating the plan of where they're going to go to reach their goal. Because like, say if they were in pain, if I was in a rehab, say it's like, I'm in pain when I do this, then I'm going to be like, well, let me see you do it just so I can see what's going on.
that's
And then
good.
let's see, I can't walk upstairs. Well, let me see you walk up the stairs so I can, see what you need to be able to walk up the stairs. I mean, regardless of what I know about what's needed to walk upstairs, I still need to see them do it.
Yeah, no, that's
Mm-hmm.
great. And
Mm-hmm.
so I had back pain, even though I rehabbed my back for using Pilates, then I had back pain for a while and I used to go to a chiropractor and then I went to a kinesiologist who's basically doing exactly what you just said, where he kind of was watching me walk and watching me do things. And he figured out that I was still having some residual pain just from my glute muscles not being strong enough. Then he gave me
Mm-hmm.
glute exercises on my reformer. And his wife actually happened to be a Pilates instructor. So I think maybe he had some additional like sort of like knowledge or something that that the average person wouldn't. But he saved me from going to the chiropractor ever again, just from I just did
Right.
glute exercises and then now I just do them all the time.
Yeah, I used to work with a chiropractor because he really saw that it needs to be both, because regardless of the adjustment that happens, if there's no muscle work that's put into it, it's just going to go back to where it was. So
Yeah,
you're
that's
just going to keep,
good.
it's just that cycle of keep going back and back. So the clients would see better outcomes having both the Pilates get aligned and then solidify it with the movement.
Muscle work.
Yeah, right, in that proper alignment, so your body can like, oh, this is what the alignment's supposed to be, and then you like nail
Right.
it in through your brain and your muscle memory. Yes,
That's
definitely.
awesome. There are, I mean, it doesn't really seem like there's a lot of Pilates instructors of color. Have you dealt with any challenges dealing around that? And do you feel like there are challenges that can be addressed? Like, what can we do to make it better for more people of color to be in Pilates?
Right. That is so my mission, like of creating more Black Pilates instructors. And like as a master instructor, that's I'm like after last year, all the pandemic and all of the racial things that have gone on throughout the last year, it's like, we need more Black Pilates instructors. And I feel it's definitely I have the power to do it, the knowledge to do it. And why
Mm-hmm.
not like go in there? And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it can be very challenging being the only Black Pilates instructor, like literally everywhere I've worked. I've always been the
Mm,
only one.
my
And
goodness.
most of the clientele are all white as well, or not Black anyway. And so that, there's always different cultural barriers or different like the stereotypes that have been like brainwashed into all of us.
Yeah.
So that, always having to overcome that for sure. Usually generally in Pilates, people are fairly positive and they come there to have a good time. But of course, people have their innate biases that they come with. So I just honestly, for me, like I don't really take it from people. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, there's always your Karen, right, that comes in and feels like they know more than you. I'm like, well, you came
Right.
here. I'm the instructor. I'm the one
Right.
that's teaching.
Actually, I'm a
So
master instructor, just in case you wanted to
yeah,
know.
exactly, exactly. And then, for me, I think not even for me as a woman of color is where I get it. I get it because I look way younger than my age.
Right.
So a
Right.
lot of the women are my age or older. So like they see me and they think that, oh, this 20-year-old doesn't know anything. And I'm like,
Right.
I'm not that young. And then I was like, well, I've been teaching for blah, 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 more
Yeah.
than a decade. And they're like, how old are you?
No, I
And then
actually
that's,
get that too. I
Mhm.
forget, like, because I don't go around talking about my age and whatever, but I forget, like, that there's an ageism thing that can happen sometimes. So when I talk to people, I have this initial reaction where you're like, that's not what I was intending. Why are they not
Mhm.
getting?
Right. Right. And
No,
it's like, no,
that's the
we're
whole
the
thing.
same age. Like when you tell them, it's like, no, we're the same age. And they're like, and then they start asking you all your beauty secrets.
Right. Okay, so now I need to ask you yours because you've already hinted. We know you have a whole child. But yeah, I guess what would you say? I mean, I really do think that fitness is huge. I mean, they've already shown, research has shown that you can literally be 10 years younger than people the same age as you just from exercising on a regular basis. And I do believe that Pilates is very superior. It's like very similar to like yoga. Like it's a very superior form of exercise because of that breath, mind body connection thing. But are there other things that you do diet wise or beauty wise that you feel like contribute to like a snatch child forever and ever? Because you're snatching.
It definitely, I mean, it's been a lifelong thing. I mean, fitness has been a part of my life, my whole life. And I grew up in a household where like my mom went to the grocery store every day. So there's always like fresh food in the house. And that's just how we were. Like, we always cooked food that wasn't like going out to eat fast food or anything like that. So there's always healthy, like fruits, vegetables, all that. So I grew up eating that way.
Okay.
And so it was pretty easy, like as an adult getting out into that life. That's just what I know, right? And
Hmm.
so I'm still the same way. I still eat as healthy as I can. Don't get me wrong, I can go off into the chips and the candy just like anybody else.
Right. Right.
But I do my best to eat as healthy as I can, at least get a lot of greens and colors and lean meat stuff in my diet on that side. But I also like on the beauty side of it, I am such a big fan of exfoliation. It's like,
Ooh, yeah.
yes, exfoliation keeps the skin cells turning over. And anything that's going to help with like collagen. So like I need
Mm.
some vitamin C and like getting whatever the hyaluronic acid and
Hmm.
collagen. I do that. And protein, I think that is really the biggest thing, is like that a lot of adults don't get enough quality protein in their diet, because like your body needs to keep turning things over. And if you don't get enough water, enough protein, enough vitamin C, everything's just going to turn into gravity. And the water, I think hydration is huge. I notice if I'm not hydrated is when I start to see wrinkles or like see little fine
Yes.
lines or something coming up. So keeping as hydrated as possible is like, I'm like, I need water, like drinking water, like as much as possible, even if it's like a sip, like every couple hours or every hour or something, just to keep it flowing in to the
No,
body.
those are good. Those are good.
Mm-hmm.
I usually don't hear enough people saying vitamin C. I'm so big on vitamin
Mm-hmm.
C. It's like vitamin C is necessary for the synthesis of collagen, people. You guys can do what you
Yes.
want. Bobby over here with all my superfoods with vitamin C.
Right. Give me some kale.
Um,
I need some.
exactly. Exactly. I feel like not enough people like really get that into their head where it's like, hey, you should be eating a lot of vitamin C rich
Mm-hmm.
vegetables. I love baobab, which is really high in vitamin C, or camu camu powder, acerola cherry powder. I like these superfoods that have a lot of vitamin C.
Oh,
So kind of
definitely.
cool. Yeah.
Right. So
Awesome.
that, and even in my own like regimen for like products, I've always had like, I mean, I started around when I was 18, really getting into like beauty products and like all of the anti-aging and stuff like that. And um, I've always had some kind of vitamin C, some kind of glycolic acid or AHA or BHA in my routine, whether depending on the level, right? Maybe it's a
Mm-hmm.
small amount, like percentage wise, up to like doing like maybe a 30% peel or something just
Mm-hmm.
to clean it all up. But it keeps stimulating that collagen layer with the glycolic acid going through, and then having like a topical vitamin C after to help that collagen, like give it some food, right? And keep it
Mm-hmm.
going.
Mm-hmm. Love it.
Yeah.
Where should someone start if they want to do Pilates today, but they've never done it ever?
Where should they start? Well, the easiest now is to do it online, to find somebody and find somebody. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing, is finding a teacher that resonates with you.
Mm-hmm.
And then going from there, at least giving it a try. If you're just wanting to dip your toe in, there's a lot of outlets online. And you can also do live online now, right? People are doing a lot more
Mm-hmm.
Zooms and things, so you can pop in. So
Mm-hmm.
that for sure is a great place. And then find a local studio and just give it a try. Take a lot of local studios do have demo classes where you can drop in if you're wanting to try equipment. So you can maybe take your first class free going in, depending on which studio you go to. Um, and really, I most people these days typically find the reformer as their first intro into Pilates. And as you were saying earlier, it does like that you makes you feel stronger right when you get to the mat, because you are totally correct, the mat is the
Mm-hmm.
hard part. So when a lot of times when people
Mm-hmm.
start with the mat, they are dissuaded and they are like, oh, I don't like
Mm-hmm.
Pilates, this is too hard. So they end up falling off. So the reformer
Mm-hmm.
is definitely an easier introduction into Pilates. Not saying it's like not challenging, but it definitely has more feedback, more support for the body. With the
Yeah.
reformer, and then with the resistance, you can gain muscle and get stronger. So when you do go to the mat, it's so much easier for you to move through all of the exercises.
Yeah, love that advice. Because honestly, I couldn't even move my legs up and down like this, and now I can do all kinds of things on the ground that I was like, years ago, I would have been like, child, I need a whole stretcher and I need someone to hold my legs for me because I can't do this, you know?
Right, it gives you a lot. It gives you a lot of support, right?
Yeah.
Gradually, like gets your core, whips your core into shape, and then you're ready
Yeah.
to go. Yes, yes,
Awesome. Where can
definitely.
people find you online?
Well, I am. My website is capilates.com, and Instagram at California Pilates is a great place to find me. Or Facebook is California Pilates as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This was an amazing
Mhm.
conversation.
Yes, definitely. It was definitely a joy. Thank you for having me.